that's in Utah and in Salt Lake City, and the tragedy that he experienced and everything that he went through, watching everybody, and not just the football program, but it felt like everybody kind of came together around him to support him. And it feels like that's what Utah is.
Exactly. You know, we've had a culture there where it's one big family, and it's something we pride ourselves on. We're a very diverse football team. We're almost exactly 1/3 Caucasian, 1/3 African American, 1/3 Polynesian. And we think that's great. We all get along. We've got great team chemistry. Just about to the man, recruits that come through here on official visits. One thing that they always send out to me is how our team interacts and gets along with each other. And that's something we try hard to have tried hard to establish and maintain.
I don't think people outside of Salt Lake City, because I certainly I didn't understand how important football is to that community. And you're a BYU guy that's coaching at Utah. You have Kalani now at BYU. You guys you work together at Utah. You're really close. You're great rivals, but I don't think people understand that it's just different. You guys have this great relationship, even though you're big rivals.
Right, it is definitely a different feel to things, and Kalani's a very close friend of mine. We're hoping that maybe some of the venom can be taken out of the rivalry. It's going to be passionate. It's going to be competitive. That's all great, but maybe a little of the nastiness out of it.
Is that important to you to accomplish that?
I think it would be positive. You know, is it important to me? I guess you could say, yeah, it's important. It's not one of my main objectives.
Sure.
But I think it would be good for the entire state if it wasn't quite so nasty at times.
Talking to Kyle Wittingham on the Monty Show, brought to you by Harmon Solar, live at Pac-12 Media Days. Picked second by the media.
Yeah, something.
Is that a good thing, a bad thing? Doesn't matter.
I think what it is show or a sign of respect for the players in the program. We took a big hit in the senior class. We had 8 guys drafted, 8 of them was in free agency, and so 16 essentially of our 19 seniors were in fall camp in the NFL. We had 2 underclassmen, Garrett Wolf and Marcus Williams, were juniors that came out. But that being said, and still be chose me second, I think speaks to the level of talent we got still in the program. There's young players that are coming up through the system that are ready to take over for these guys that left, and so I think that is somewhat of a compliment.
How has your recruiting curve changed or improved since you got into the conference? Obviously, your talent has grown exponentially in the program. Has recruiting gotten easier? Is it different since you guys first joined the Pac-12?
Yeah, different, not easier. It's never easier. It's just it's different competition. I mean, the ball was raised in every area of recruiting, and now we feel like we've got traction in recruiting, and that's something that had to happen. We needed to upgrade the roster. Our roster coming out of Mountain West was good, but it wasn't Pac-12 good. And so we needed to put all our focus on that, and that's what college football is all about, is recruiting, and we feel like we've done it the right way and recruited very well for the last several years, and I think that's been manifest for the amount of players that we've had in the field in the last 2 years.
And Ed Ogeron made an interesting comment this week when he talked about older players returning missionaries. It's every year somebody says that. And I think you are uniquely qualified to put that to rest. That being a return missionary is not, I don't think it's an advantage, but I'm curious.
Well, there's pros and cons, and I think that it does bring a stability to your team and maturity. Guys that have been on their own for 2 years and they come home and they're very responsible and very determined. And so, and in some cases, physically more developed. One time I sent a missionary out that was 190-pound free safety, came back 310 pounds when an old tackle. And so that happened. And so I think there's pros and cons. It certainly can be disruptive to your roster and to fitting into scholarships and mapping that out, and challenging a little disruptive. But I think overall it is a positive, and I would say that on the scale of advantage disadvantage, the needle is more to the advantage side.
Yeah, but I don't think you have grown men playing against children.
No, I think that's a little overblown. Yeah, that's a little overblown. That is overblown.
Let's talk about your offense a little bit, because all I've been reading about is how it's going to be this wide open offense. And are you comfortable with where you are offensively? And if I had to ask you to describe your offense this year, what would you say about it?
Well, it's still a spread. But spread is a relative term now. There's so many variations to spread. You can't just say spread and people understand exactly what you're doing. But Troy was brought in, bottom line, to improve our production throwing football. And we have not been good enough throwing football over the last several years. We've played good defense, we've played great special teams, we're running football effectively, but to get over the hump and try to get to the level we want to be, we've got to be more efficient throwing the ball. That's Troy's specialty. He has complete autonomy. I really like what we saw in the spring. I think we made a lot of progress. The players have really embraced what he's brought to the table and embraced his coaching style, and he's very positive, very passionate, very upbeat. And so we haven't played anybody yet, so I don't want to get too far ahead of things, but so far, it's been a big positive for us.
Kyle Wittingham from Utah is our guest on the Monty Show, and of course your defense on paper looks experienced. It looks...
Except in the back end. I mean, we lost about 98% of the snaps at corner and nickel. We played nickel secondary, so we lost 4 of the 5 positions, both corners, the nickel, and the free safety. So Chase Hansen's the only guy coming back. But the positive is the guys that are coming up through the program are extremely talented. So short on experience, but talented kids. But the front seven's a different story. Very experienced there. I feel like we're going to have, again, one of the best front sevens in the conference.
And you beat me to Chase, because his transformation from a guy went out and served, comes back as a quarterback. Now he's in the back end of your defense. How has that transition been for him?
It has been a natural transition, and that's something that we both had that in the back of our mind when we recruited Chase, and I told him, hey, you're a quarterback as long as you want to be a quarterback. We're not going to try to trick you and bring you in here and 2 days later make you a defensive player. And so he understood right from the get-go that there was a chance that he would end up on the defensive side and be a pitcher. And when we came to the point, it's been 2 years now. 2 years ago, he was buried on the depth chart at quarterback. Said, hey, we got a need over here, and if you want to make the move and help out the team, that's your call. I won't have no negative feelings if you don't want to do it, because we've already covered this ground in the recruiting process. He said, Coach, I'm in. I want to make it.
And did he ask you? I think he asked you to run down on special teams at one point when he was a quarterback.
Exactly. And so he's if you have a whole team full of Chase Hansons, we don't win a national championship. That's the type of kid.
Yeah, and before I let you go, let's talk a little bit about BYU and where they fit on your schedule. Because that question to me has always been fascinating, because you play in a league where there are no outs, there are no easy weekends. So you slot them in September, you slot them in November. Do you have a preference on that? How much talking have you guys done?
Yeah, well, I think the natural place is early in the season. Ideally, you play the 3 non-conference games right in a row, and then you jump into conference play, and it's conference play throughout. And so I think that's ideally the best place to do that. It is a very emotional game. It's a rivalry game, and so if you were to stick that in the middle of conference play, I'm not sure that would be a good thing for us. So I think it's where it's supposed to be.
And Nick Saban talked about playing P5 teams, playing P5 teams. What are your thoughts on that?
There's validity to that. I think there's an argument for it, but the chasm between P5 and the rest of the country is growing every year, and that might be the nail in the coffin if that did transpire for the non-P5 schools, because it's such a payday and such a revenue generator for those teams, and to go get that big payday to go to Ohio State or Florida, wherever it is. And if you just took that away and just made P5 kind of an exclusive little deal, I think that there's going to be a lot of teams, a lot of schools that would have a tough time surviving.
Yeah, very good, Kyle. Good to see you again.
Okay.
Really appreciate you coming by.
Appreciate it.
That's Kyle Wittingham, the head coach at Utah.